Today on Roy's Game Table, we have Legendary, the New Mutants expansion for a Marvel deck building game. So pull up a chair and let's see what's inside. All right, well, let's dig into the box. All right, we got the cards. We'll look at those later. And we have the rule book. We'll go ahead and open that up and look at that first. And here's some introductory stuff that you can pause the video and read that. Okay, well, let's look at the keywords that come in this expansion. First of all, moonlight and sunlight. As a werewolf, wolfsbane gets extra powerful at night under a full moon. And by contrast, sunspot absorbs solar energy to fuel his powers, gaining strength from the force of full sunlight. And so it goes on to tell us some more things. Well, let's look exactly what all that means. Some hero cards say things like moonlight, you get +2 attack, and other things say like sunlight, draw a card. So moonlight abilities work only when most of the heroes in the HQ have odd number costs. Likewise, sunlight abilities work only when most of the heroes in the HQ have even numbered costs. And so there's actually an example over here. Some people put the cards, for example, that are even numbered or odd numbered. If they're odd numbered, they'll pull them down so that they can tell the difference between those that are up, that they're sunlight. So like in this example, the two that are in the normal spaces are the even numbered. So that means they're sunlight. And the three that are pulled down are moonlight. And that's how people can, that's a way that you can tell the difference between whether or not the market is sunlight or moonlight. And so there's also ways, obviously, to manipulate moonlight and sunlight. You can recruit heroes out of the HQ at crucial times to switch it from moonlight to sunlight or vice versa. And then also, if you have to ever KO a hero, or in the solo mode, if you have to put a hero underneath the hero deck, you can manipulate the market in that way to push it to moonlight or sunlight. So that seems to be an interesting mechanic. And then moonlight and sunlight timing, as always, do a card's abilities in order they are listed. You check moonlight or sunlight at the moment when you would use that ability. For example, Sunspot has a card that says moonlight. You may put a hero from the HQ on the bottom of the hero deck. Sunlight, draw a card. Sunspot's cards primarily benefit from sunlight, so the moonlight ability here mostly helps him push the HQ towards sunlight. So, and you do these abilities in order they are listed. So if there are 3 odd numbered cards in the HQ and you play this card, you might be able to use moonlight ability to change the HQ to only 2 odd numbered cards, and then you could immediately use the sunlight ability. So you can activate the cards in order, and I guess we'll get to take a look at those when we look at the cards in a minute. But and then it tells you how you can remember odd and even. And we talked about that already. You can push the even ones up and the odd ones down, or whatever you want to do to remember which one it's in. Okay, so then Waking Nightmare. There's a new Waking Nightmare, and it means you discard a non-gray hero from your hand, and if you discard a hero this way, draw a card. And so that's what the Waking Nightmare is. Let's look at the conflicting card abilities real quick. When 2 card effects tell you to do different things with a card at the same time, you can choose which to do. So when you discard Empathic Link to Velasco or the Demon Bear, you can use the Empathic Link ability to set itself aside instead of letting Velasco KO it or the Demon Bear capture it. And so if you're supposed to do 2 things at one time, it looks like you get the choice of which one goes first, so that you can kind of benefit yourself. And it gives you more clarification on what your cards and cards you have. And so those are the new keywords, Waking Nightmare and Moonlight and Sunlight, in the expansion. Okay, let's go ahead and look at the cards. And I'll open these up and then we'll take a look at them. Okay, well, let's start looking at the heroes. We'll start with Sunspot. We have Absorb Radiation, as you can see there. This is what it was talking about in the rules. It's a 1 recruit, but he has a moonlight ability. You may put a hero from the from the HQ on the bottom of the hero deck, and then the sunlight, draw a card. So you can do those in order. You you can put the hero underneath to try to make Sunlight in the HQ so that he can draw a card. So that's cool. And there's 5 of those. And then we have solar powered. It's a 2 attack Sunlight. You may put a card from your hand on the bottom of your deck. If you do, you get +2 attack. And there are 3 of those. Nope, there are 5 of those. It must be another one of his commons. And then Thermokinetic Fury. It's a 6 cost. To play this, you must put a card from your hand on the bottom of your deck. And then it gives you the Sunlight ability. You get +1 attack for each other X-Men card you played this turn. So if the HQ has Sunlight, which again were the even cards, you would be able to get this ability. And one of the ways that you can remember whether or not the HQ, to help you remember whether Sunlight is even or odd numbered, is abilities that call for, say, Sunlight have an even number on it. So just looking at this real quick, you can know, okay, what do I need to do to have Sunlight in the HQ? It has to be even numbered because it has the 6 on here. Same thing with this solar powered. It has the Sunlight ability and it's an even number. Now the one that had the other common that had Moonlight and Sunlight, well, it's even numbered, but that's because you should know that Sunspot wants Sunlight, so it's even numbered. So that was one of the ways too to help you remember the cards. Okay, so that was Thermokinetic Fury. All right, and then his rare, choose any number of heroes in the HQ, put them on the bottom of the hero deck. And then the Sunlight ability, you get +1 attack for each hero in the HQ and then even numbered cost. All right, that was Sunspot, Wolfsbane. And of course, if you remember, she's the one who wants odd numbers. And because odd numbers in HQ, because she wants Moonlight, she has the Sunlight Moonlight thing where you can, you may put a hero from the HQ on the bottom of the hero deck if it's in Sunlight, and then if you can turn it into Moonlight, you get to draw a card. And she has 2 recruit there on her Wolf Out card. All right, that's one of her commons. There's 5 of those. And then Night Vision Wolfsbane, look at the top 2 cards of your deck. Discard any number of them and put the rest back in any order. So 5 of those. And then her uncommon, Howl at the Moon. And it's a Moonlight, of course. Look at the top card of your deck, KO it, or put it back. So good. She has ways to KO cards and thin your deck out so it becomes more powerful. So that would be a hero you want to look for or consider if you want to KO cards out of your deck. And it's a 3 attack with a 5 cost. And then her Nocturnal Savagery, her rare. Look at the top 3 cards of your deck. Discard any number of them and put the rest back in any order. And if it's Moonlight, you get the total printed attack of all the cards you discarded from your deck this turn. So you'll be wanting to discard cards to be able to get extra attack with her. All right, next we have Mirage, Empathic Link. And we talked about this in the rules that if this conflicts with a villain ability for some reason, you would get to choose how to resolve the conflict. But her Empathic Link is to recruit. When a card effect causes you to discard this card, set it aside at the end of this turn and add it to your hand as an extra card. Excuse me. So, and then we also have Dreams Made Real. And it's a Moonlight. You may discard a card. If you do, draw a card. Okay, so she's going to be discarding some. And then we have Nightmare Wolves Mirage. You may have a Waking Nightmare. If you remember, Waking Nightmare was that you had to discard a non-gray hero from your hand. And if you discard a hero this way, you get to draw a card. So this card lets you do that. You get plus attack equal to the cost of the card you discarded this way. So if you have 2 of these in your hand and you discard this one, to be able to do the Waking Nightmare, you can get plus 6 attack because the cost of this one is 6. So that's a neat way to use the card there and use the cards. And her rare is Haunted by the Demon Bear Mirage. And it's whenever a card effect causes you to discard a card from your hand, this turn you get plus 2 attack. And then if you have Moonlight in HQ, you may have a Waking Nightmare. So that's a pretty interesting hero, it looks like there. Then we have Warlock. Earthling Choices Warlock. Look at the top 2 cards of your deck. Draw 1. and discard the other. And then analyze planetary rotation. This is again, if it's sunlight, you get +2 recruit. If it's moonlight, you get +2 attack. And then if you use the tech card first, you get to use both of them. So if you're going to have a lot of attack in your deck, just play that first and you can get the +2 recruit and the +2 attack here. And then we have a Techno-Organic Adaptation. And if you play a tech card first, the first time you defeat a villain this turn, you may KO one of your cards or a card from your discard pile. Very similar to what a Valkyrie card can do from the last set, the Heroes of Asgard set. And so 6 cost, 3 attack. All right, that was his uncommon. And then his rare, Nanite Shapeshifter. And then if it's sunlight, draw 3 cards. Moonlight, you get +3 recruit and +3 attack. But if you play 4 mutants before it, you get to do both instead. So if you're playing with Warlock, you're probably going to want to have other mutants in your deck if you can, so that you can take advantage of this rare if you're able to get it. All right, then next we have Karma, So Rivalry. And this is one of our commons. If you play a covert first, choose a villain, you get +1 attack for each villain adjacent to it. Okay, that's pretty cool. And then her other common is going to be Temporary Possession. Guess the color, then reveal the top card of the hero deck and put it back on the top or bottom of that deck. If you guessed right, you get +2 attack. That's interesting. And notice her 2 commons are both covert, so they would work well in a deck if you're trying to build up covert in a deck. All right, and then her uncommon is Karmic Balance. Reveal the top card of the hero deck. You may recruit it this turn. If you do, you may KO one of your cards or a card from your discard pile. And that's 4 recruit. 6 costs for 4 recruit. So a good way to get some more heroes in your hand. And then her, or in your deck. And then her rare here, Control Like a Puppet. If you played an X-Men character before, choose a villain in the city. You get + attack equal to its victory point. Usable only against other villains or the Masterminds. So you get at least 5 attack, and you can get 2 to 3 more or whatever, depending on whatever villain you choose from the villain in the city. So that's interesting. Well, that's all the heroes that come in the deck, and now let's look at the villains. Okay, one of the villain groups that came in this expansion was the Hellions. And we'll start with Cat's Eye. If the HQ has Moonlight, Cat's Eye gets +2 attack. Fight, KO one of your heroes. I always like to see that. And there are 2 Cat's Eye villains in the Hellions set here. Then we have Thunderbird. If it's Sunlight, Thunderbird gets +2 attack. And if you fight him, you KO one of your heroes. So this villain group with 4 cards, these 4 cards lets you KO cards in your hand. I always like to be able to thin out my deck. And then we have Roulette Ambush. Reveal the top card of the hero deck. If it's a tech, each player gains a wound. If it's a covert, you draw a card. So if you're playing against the Hellions and you can work it out, you might want to have a lot of covert heroes in your hero deck so that you can draw a card when she comes out. But there is only just one of her, so you may not want to build around her, of course. But the fight is the same effect, and the escape is the same effect as the ambush. So that's Roulette. And then we have Tarot Ambush. Reveal the top card of the villain deck. If it's a bystander, you rescue it. A Scheme Twist, you play it. And Master Strike, each player gains a wound. If it's a villain, each player has a Waking Nightmare. So that's a pretty interesting one, Tarot. And then we have Jetstream Ambush. And you have to wait till he enters the city, but put Jetstream on the bridge. If there's another villain there, swap them. Okay, so he wants to get out of town quickly. His escape effect is each player discards an X-Men hero or gains a wound. Okay. Then Empath. During your turn, Empath gets +1 attack for each gray hero you have. And then Ambush, each player reveals a covert hero or has a Waking Nightmare. Escape, the same effect. So here's another villain in this set that makes you kind of want to have covert heroes. Okay, and then the other villain set is the Demons of Limbo set. And we'll start with Crotus. His ambush effect is that he captures a bystander and then put an even numbered hero on the bottom of the hero deck. And then he has a Moonlight effect. He gets +4 attack if the HQ has Moonlight. So he's trying to get the HQ to be Moonlight so that to help out his attack value. That's pretty interesting there. And there's 2 of him. And then next in the Demons of Limbo is Witchfire. Ambush. Witchfire captures a hero from the HQ with the lowest odd-numbered cost. Then Sunlight. Witchfire gets +2 attack. And if you fight him, the player of your choice gains that hero and escape KO the captured hero. So that's pretty interesting. Witchfire here is similar to Crotus in that they're trying to get it to be the Sunlight. And so you capture the hero from the HQ with the lowest odd numbered cost, and that would possibly help turn the HQ to Sunlight. So interesting. There's 2 Witchfire, and then we have Nastir. I guess how you pronounce that. If it's Sunlight, then to fight Nastir, you must also spend 3 recruit. If it's Moonlight, that villain gets +3 attack. And if you fight him, KO one of your heroes. And there's 2 of them. So another one that lets you KO heroes. And as I said, I like to KO the heroes in my games. And then we have Demon Bear and Ambush. Each player has a Waking Nightmare. The Demon Bear captures one of the heroes discarded this way that has the lowest cost. The Demon Bear gets plus attack equal to that hero's cost. If you fight him, the player of your choice gains that hero. And then if he escapes, you KO that captured hero. And then we finally have Sim. Ambush. Sunlight. Each player reveals a strength hero or gains a wound. Moonlight. Each player has a Waking Nightmare. If he escapes, same effect. So that is the Demons of Limbo, and those are the 2 villain sets that come in this set. And so now we'll look at the Masterminds. Okay, the first Mastermind we're going to look at is Emma Frost, the White Queen, which interesting, she is a hero in the core set of Legendary, but now she comes in as a Mastermind. During your turn, Emma Frost gets +1 attack for each gray hero you have. So she's a base of 8, but every gray hero you have in your hand will add 1 to that. It's interesting. Always leads to Hellions, and her Master Strike, stack this strike next to Emma Frost. Then each player has a Waking Nightmare for each strike stacked here. I'm not going to show you their tactics. I'm going to let you see those tactics for yourself when you play the game. But that's Emma Frost, the White Queen, sorry. And then we have next Velasco, Demon Lord of Limbo. And Velasco gets +1 attack equal to the number of non-gray heroes in the KO pile, divided by the number of players, and you round down. So, I mean, it's always going to be that number. In solo, I always play solo. So if there's 3 non-gray heroes in the KO pile, then if you're playing solo, he's going to have +3 attack with a base of 9 attack. Always leads Demons of Limbo. And the Master Strike, if it's Sunlight, each player KOs a non-gray hero from the discard pile. If it's Moonlight, each player has a Waking Nightmare and KO heroes discarded this way. So it's a way to thin out your deck, but you're going to be thinning out non-gray heroes out of your deck with his Master Strike. Okay, and so those are our 2 Masterminds. All right, now let's take a look at the schemes. Crash the moon into the sun. Set up 11 twists. And the 1, 3, 5, 7 twists, if it's Moonlight, you stack this twist next to the scheme as an altered orbit. 2, 4, 6, 8. If it's Sunlight, you do the same thing as you would with Moonlight, so stack this twist next to the scheme as an altered orbit. And then if you happen to get down to twist 9, 10, and 11, it doesn't matter if it's Moonlight or Sunlight. At 9, 10, 11, you stack the twist next to the scheme as an altered orbit. And evil wins when there are 4 altered orbits. So you have to kind of be careful. You have to know what scheme twist is coming out next and try to make sure you can manipulate the HQ to make sure that it's not Moonlight for 1, 3, 5, and 7 or not Sunlight for 2, 4, 6, and 8 to try to help keep from 4 altered orbits coming out. That looks like a pretty interesting one. Okay, then we have Trapped in the Insane Asylum. Set up 1 twist. +2 twists per player. And the twist is you face a sanity test. Either keep this twist in front of you as a psychotic break, or discard a card and pass this twist to the player on your left, and that player faces a sanity test. So anyway, the special rule, on each of your turns before you play other cards from your hand, you must play 2 randomly selected cards from your hand for each psychotic break you have. And then evil wins when a player has 3 psychotic breaks. Okay? Next, the Demon Bear Saga. 8 twists. Include Demons of Limbo as one of the villain groups and put the Demon Bear villain from that group next to the scheme. The twist is, if the Demon Bear is in the city, it escapes. Otherwise, the Demon Bear enters the city from wherever it is. If it was in a player's victory pile, that player rescues 4 bystanders. And there are special rules. Whenever the Demon Bear escapes, stack a twist next to the scheme as a dream horror. And when there are 3 dream horrors, evil wins. Okay, that's the Demon Bear Saga. And then Superhuman Baseball Game. Set up 9 twists and add an extra villain group. And the special rules, the bank and the streets do not exist. So I guess you have to put something over the bank and the streets to denote that you can't put anything in those spots. But you put the villain deck under the HQ as home plate. The sewers, rooftops, and bridges are first, second, and third base. Twist, play the top card of the villain deck. And if it's a bystander, rescue that cheering fan. If it's a master strike, then after it resolves, any villain on third base steals home and then escapes. If it's a villain, it hits a double, pushes to second base, which is the rooftops, and you play the top card of the villain deck. Evil wins when evil has 4 runs or villains in the escape pile per player. That's a pretty unique and unusual one there, the Superhuman Baseball Game. All right, so there you have it. Legendary, the New Mutants expansion with the Masterminds, heroes, villains, and schemes that come in this expansion. If you like this video, please consider to like and subscribe to my channel and hit the notification bell for any future videos I'll have coming out. I do have one more playthrough at least that I'd like to do, the Legendary Heroes of Asgard expansion. And then I'm going to do a couple playthroughs through this one against the White Queen and the Velasco, the Demon Lord of Limbo. So hit the notification bell so you'll know when those videos come. And thank you again for watching. Have a great day. And until I see you next time, I'll save you a seat at the table.